Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss our memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
And I'm Giff.
And speaking of digging in and picking a given year, we are starting a new year. It is September now. And what page of the yearbook, Gifford? What are we doing first?
We are going to crack open that yearbook like we do at the beginning of every month. And we are opening to page 1986.
I'm going to spend some time reading these pages because there's a lot of good stuff from 1986 to look back on.
Man.
What a year.
So much fun. A lot going on this year for a young Brad and a young Giff. That is for sure, including the first ever meeting between a young Brad. We turned 10 this year. We got out of single digits in 1986. Right. Some of us sooner than others.
And it continues our run here. We're doing the rest of the year all sixes. So we did 2016 last month. Hopefully you enjoyed some of that newer stuff. We're on 1986 now. So if you're back for the older nostalgic stuff, we're back.
Yes.
We got 2006 and 1996 yet to go. So when we start a new year, we always start with our memories and get into that nostalgia. Gifford, what do you remember about 1986?
So 1986, I would have been, much like you, in fourth grade as we entered this year. I believe this was Mrs. Pieskey's class down at Russell Elementary School. Of course, one of the very first memories of this year is sitting in class, watching the Challenger take off and burst into a million pieces, coincidentally on your 10th birthday.
I was going to say, you're stealing my thing here, because that happened on January 28th, 1986. I was in the middle of my birthday, and that was a little bit of a buzzkill.
Yeah, little tiny bit there.
So McAuliffe, the big civilian teacher heading to the skies.
Yeah.
Not a good outcome.
And you couldn't have hyped that more. And, I mean, it was a great idea, right? I mean, you're sending an everyman into space, showing that, space travel is becoming more accessible, and who better to send up there than, a teacher of children. And she had, these lesson plans that she was going to do while she was there. And it was just really cool. And then, so every kid in the country, they pushed the big old, frame in there with the TV on top and the VCR on the bottom, wheel it into the classroom, and all the kids are sitting there, elbows on the desks.
Kieran probably had flags.
Yep.
Yay, America.
Yep. And it was just amazing. And then, oh my God. And for me, I'm, 9-year-old kid at this point still, and just thinking well, they're gonna be okay. I mean, the capsule they're in is super strong or something. You were holding out hope that, they were going to be okay. And I think much like everybody else, but really, obviously not so much. So that was an interesting way to start the year for sure. And because this is, 38 years ago, I've got some personal memories I'll get into as well, but I just kind of want to go over a few things that happened in 1986, just to kind of bring you back to that time. Yes. So this year we had on February 9th, Halley's Comet came back around for the first time since 1910. Remember how
Thank you. I was so
crazy that was?
Yes, we were all reading about it in school, and I was all excited to see this thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep, for sure.
And I remember taking my little binoculars, whatever we had.
Mm-hmm.
I was with my mom, and we pulled over on the road one night, and I saw something. I don't think it was Halley's Comet, but I saw something, and I, wondered what it was.
Sure.
Don't think I ever actually saw it.
Well, and I can't remember if I actually saw it or not either, but it was this whole big thing, and, it was basically well, the next time this thing comes around, everybody will be...
We'll be 86 years old.
Oh, is that what it'll be? Okay. Well,
it was 70. I thought it wasn't every 76 years, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be 86.
So you can last long enough.
I won't.
We could be somebody who sees it twice or tries to see it twice.
Mm-hmm. So that was a big happening again for school age children. March 14th, Microsoft offered their IPO, so that went public in '86. We had Hands Across America.
My God, that was this year too?
Yes, May 25th. What else we got here? We got Fox Broadcasting was formed on October 9th, and of course we just talked about Married with Children. And that was on the young new network. We also had November 3rd, the Iran-Contra affair was uncovered for the first time. Of course, that was going to be huge the next summer during that trial. So that was kind of a big deal here in the United States. In Russia, we had the Chernobyl catastrophe.
What a year! What a terrible year!
Yeah, April 26th. So what else do I have here? Oh, in 1985, I believe this is correct from many tellings. I may have it wrong, but Brad was introduced to a up-and-coming actor, Harrison Ford, in the movie Witness.
Yeah.
And in 1986, Witness was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Screenplay at the 58th Academy Awards.
There you go. It all comes together finally after 4 years.
Didn't win any of them, but it was nominated. Out of Africa.
Actually, I've got a movie on my list tonight, a Harrison Ford movie, another just random one that I totally saw and knew of back then, and you probably never even heard of it, I bet.
Oh, I'm interested to hear that because I don't remember writing one of those down.
My wife and I just watched Presumed Innocent on Apple TV, which is fantastic, and then we watched the Harrison Ford movie after that. That's another one of the first Harrison Ford movies I really ever saw.
Yeah.
So that's my Harrison Ford journey. It's not like most people's.
So I'll get back into like my personal ones here. So this summer, of course, I turned 10, and this was the last summer before I had a paying job. Now, my first paying job was for $1 an hour the next summer driving tractor while people picked up bales, but
$1 an hour.
It was $1 an hour. I was Napoleon back in 1987.
I don't mind a paying change.
So this fall,
do the chickens have talons?
Boy, I don't know what you're saying. This fall, we the three of our schools finally got together. And in 5th grade...
Not all of them, though.
Oh.
It was only 2nd grade and 5th grade. We were like...
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, the sports team still played each other.
We were like a pilot project for the whole thing.
That's true. Thank you for the correction on that.
And yeah, the teams were all separate. So yeah, we were only us. We were we happened to be in 5th grade when they decided to do that.
Yep. So the next year would have been the first full year where everything was put together. Yeah. So the fall of '86. The
87.
Yeah, the fall of '87. So as we turn, to 5th grade, as Brad said, in 5th grade, Russell, Tyler, and Ruthven got together in 2nd and 5th grade. We went to Ruthven. So this is the first time I ever went to a different school other than Russell. I remember, so I was a bus rider. So I would get picked up at like 7:10 in the morning at my house, bus, into Russell, and then they'd switch stuff around and we would get shipped off to Ruthven. We would stop in Florence, switch bus drivers, and continue on to Ruthven. So we probably got to Ruthven at maybe like 8:25 or something like that. So I was on the bus for an hour and 15 minutes every morning and every night. So that was just excruciating. And of course, this was the year that I met Brad. I met, a lot of the kids from Tyler and the kids from Ruthven. Brad was in Myers Massacre with me.
This is Myers Massacre, baby.
That's right. Along with our good friend Travis Borison.
Yeah.
And I remember
maybe Haken, was he in there?
I thought Haken was in Blake's, wasn't he?
He might have
Not
been.
Blake's. He was in Borchards, I think.
Travis. For sure.
But what I remember is I did not like this Brad Sorensen character from Tyler.
The feeling is mutual.
Right. We just butted heads like crazy. I wanted nothing more than to push you down and beat you up, but Travis was your buddy and he was big and he'd protect you if I tried anything. And so that was kind of tough for me meeting Brad. But of course everything turned around the next year in 6th grade and we've been
I do not remember like why that was or what
I don't either.
Was.
I don't know either.
Weird.
But man, we did not.
Here we are.
Not see eye to eye.
Years later.
I know, right? It's not how you start; it's how you finish. I'm not saying we're finished, but it's nice that we've come around on that. So, and it, like I say, it didn't take long. I remember Mrs. Duncan's class in the library in 6th grade. You were behind me at a table, and I would always turn around and we would start talking, and it was great. So
the show would sound a lot different if we hadn't turned that around.
Right? I definitely wouldn't be on the show. Yeah, you still would have created it, but I wouldn't be sitting here looking at your pretty face. So that's pretty much what I've got for my memories. What say you, Brad?
Okay, before I get into mine, I do want to say, and I meant to do this before you started, and I totally forgot. I just wanted to bring up a recent event because last Saturday night, I went to the Green Day concert. Smashing Pumpkins open, and I just wanted to talk about that on the show because it was one of the greatest concerts I've ever seen in my entire life. It was amazing. So I've seen Green Day once. They are on my Mount Rushmore. We talked about them we have an episode on American Idiot that came out in I think April, and they probably moved up to my second favorite band of all time after REM. I think just because I listen to them more than I do U2. Like, I love U2, but I don't listen to them a lot anymore. And the Foo Fighters are my fourth one, and I like Green Day more right now than the Foo Fighters. I mean, Foo Fighters are great. I saw them 2 weeks ago. They were great. They're still great. But that show felt like it drug a few times. Like, the audience energy just wasn't quite the same as what I usually expected. That doesn't mean it wasn't great. It was great. They are awesome.
You're splitting hairs, basically, is what
but
you're
this
saying.
Green Day show they played. So it's the 20th anniversary of American Idiot. It's the 30th anniversary of Dookie. They played the full length of both albums. And then they played a bunch of songs off their new album, which I think is fantastic. And then they mixed in they only played like 4 other songs that were on other albums from the past, but they were great, like Minority and Know Your Enemy. They played those. It was fantastic. And it was 2.5 hours, and the energy just never stopped. It was incredible that these guys can get up there and do what they did for that long. And they sound so good in concert. They are so tight. They are the 3 coolest guys. I couldn't have had a better time, and I'm so glad my wife agreed to go because she loved it too, and she felt the same way, which she doesn't love concerts, and we had to stand for most of it, and she likes concerts if she can sit. So when everybody stood up, and for the whole time, she was a little, probably thrown off by that. And she sat down a couple times, but she assured me at the end that she loved it all the way through. I can't stop listening to them. So if you have a chance to go see that concert before they are done here this summer or early fall, whenever they're going to be done doing it, I just cannot say enough great stuff about it. It was amazing. So that's my on that.
And to bring it back to the 80s here, I believe it was in 87 that Billy Joel formed his first band, Sweet Children.
How perfect if they had just been 1 year earlier, then it all would tied right in here perfectly, and it wouldn't even been off topic.
Well, I love that you shared that. Obviously, it's near and dear to your heart, Green Day's, for sure. And it's just nice that you have that ability to see such a great concert like that.
Yeah. Well, and we just did that. It wasn't that long ago. We did the American Idiot episode. Mm-hmm. It was one of my favorites ever to do, and I listened to it again right after the concert because I just wanted to hear what we said about the songs because they're so great. And then we've been listening to Green Day nonstop ever since again, and I'm not even can't get tired of it. So it was great, and it was a wonderful, wonderful night.
Sweet.
All right. My memories. So a lot of the same, although 4th grade, so I'm still in Tyler in 4th grade. I had one of my favorite teachers of all time. Her name was Mrs. Nelson. I had a total crush on her. She was probably the cutest teacher I ever had, like at that age at least. I'm only 10, but still, I thought she was great.
Cute little crush, yeah.
And she was she was a new teacher. I think she only taught there maybe for that 1 year. Like, I don't remember where she went, but she wasn't like one of the old people that had been there forever. And so I was lucky enough to have her, and she was just great. And I'll never forget that class. It was awesome. And then, like you, fifth grade, I had to sit on the bus all the way from my farm for, a half hour at least into Tyler. And then we had to switch buses and ride again over to Ruthven. The one interesting thing about that bus ride is that my brother, who was a senior, was also on that bus because there was a small group of seniors from Tyler who were able to go to Ruthven to take physics. And only physics was offered, and it was with Mr. Wabaki, who we had a few years later. So my brother and about, I don't know, 4 maybe other seniors were on the back of that bus with all the rest being fifth graders. And then they would come back after that class and then have the rest of their day in Tyler.
Cool.
I mentioned on the, and this will come up again this month probably, but I mentioned on the Children of the 80s show that we did with them about hair metal. Every day on the way from Ruthven, we listened to Slippery When Wet. Every single day. And it never stopped. So, fifth grade was great. I did meet you. I met some of my best lifelong friends that I didn't know yet. You and then Joe Gruss, I want to mention. One of my all-time best friends, too. Met Joe Gruss in fifth grade. He was from Ruthven. And so, you are people that I still see and talk to all the time. I spent a lot of time. I mentioned I was out with my mom looking for Halley's Comet. And I was in the car a lot with her. I feel so she had a route where she would sell these. She worked for Pete's dad, actually. So Pete, who's not here, still on hiatus. They owned a candy business where they had vans where you would drive the van to all these businesses in the neighboring towns, and you'd try to convince them to put one in their store, not for customers, but for the workers. It'd be like in the back room. And it was the honor system. And so we had this tray with all these different candies on it, and we'd bring it in there and ask them if they would want one. And then there was a certain suggested amount for each thing, but it was the honor system. Like, if you just took the candy, you took the candy. If you want the woman, you take the woman. But most things were like 50 cents. And then we would go back, like a week later, you'd go on that same route and you would replace it and take the money out. And you would, that was the business. And it sounds like nothing, but I mean, it was good. It lasted a long time. It was good for Pete's parents.
Right.
And my dad rode that route too, but I rode my mom a lot in the summer. And so I remember doing that with her. And then I have a very specific memory too, and this wouldn't be the route because this was on a Saturday. But one of the big events, this was a bad year for sports for Minnesota, not much happened. But the Gopher football team beat Michigan in 1986 for the first time in forever. And Ricky Foggy and Daryl Thompson. And I remember being in the car with my mom listening to that game on the radio and how excited, because she loves that stuff too. And we would be so excited to listen to that. And when they won and kicked the field goal, Chip Lohmiller kicked the game-winning field goal. That was just great. It was like, we did it. I lived on a farm. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of time with my mom, but I also spent a lot of time alone. My brother was a senior, like I said. My sister would have been a sophomore. I have zero memory of living with them on this farm, really. I'm thinking back that I should remember this year a lot because they were both home. But they were, they had jobs. They were much older. She was 5 years older than me.
Well, they got cars probably, right? So they're not home a lot. They had
cars. So I have almost no memory of them being there. What I did is I took those little baseball bats you got at Twins games, the mini bats. Mm-hmm. And so it was a foot long, maybe a little longer. And I'd take a little golf wiffle ball and I went out in my yard and I simulated baseball games. And that's what I did for hours alone at a time. I made a little park out of the fence. There's the home run, there's the bases. And the Twins hardly ever lost. And I would just simulate baseball games. And I cannot believe the amount of time I did that with this dumb little bat. Not even a real bat. And right. But I could hit that ball with that thing. It was fun. And I just loved it.
Did you ever say, I bet I could hit this ball over those mountains?
No, that was pre that. So a lot of time on my own because, I would, in the summers, I would go in and stay with my grandma and grandpa during the day. And so I got to ride my bike around town and hang out with friends and go to the pool. But during the school year, you're going to come home and you're 10 years old. You're just going to sit at home after that. And so we watched a ton of TV. I love TV. That's why part of the reason why we do this show is all the stuff I was able to do. And my brother and sister weren't really, around that much with me. So my last memory was a Challenger explosion, but you already brought that up.
Yeah. Well, and I
So-
can attest to the boredom of growing up on a farm. I didn't get into town all that much.
But your brother is only 2 years older, and weren't you
Right.
guys pretty good friends?
No, God, no, not then.
Well, I thought you said you were on a previous episode. You were best pals.
Now, no, that was sarcastic. Now we are. I mean, now I get along with him great, obviously. But no, I mean, there was some rivalry there, only 2 years apart. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't always.
I got along great with my siblings, but it was like I was the kid. I didn't
Right.
fit in. About the only thing I remember doing with my brother much at this age would have been halftime of Vikings games. We'd go out in the yard and we'd play catch with a football.
Sure.
I remember doing that quite often. But that's about it.
Yeah, and I remember like playing football with my brother, like just one-on-one tackle football on the side of the house. Like that got a little crazy because he was.
He would have destroyed me if we did that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, my brother was quite a bit bigger than I was, even only 2 years older. But he's always been a big fella, and yeah. But those games would get pretty contested and heated. So, well, excellent, great memories there. I like to hear those.
Great time.
You want to get into our movie draft here?
So we are going to do 2 drafts tonight. We're going to draft movies and music. Now, normally we would do all 3, but we're going to save our TV draft for a different episode, which we will talk to you about in a couple weeks. So we're going to do movies and music tonight, and we'll share what we're going to be picking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got the first pick in the movie draft, and there's some pretty big movies that maybe I should take if I wanted to win the poll.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm picking Three Amigos because it's
Yep.
Three Amigos and it came out in 1986. And especially as a 10-year-old, I mean, that's a movie I was watching and it was the greatest. And I still think it's the greatest movie of all time.
I don't think that's a bad one to pick for the draft. I mean, that's enormous.
Yeah, well, some of these, there's going to be a couple picked here pretty quick that are going to be much bigger with the populace.
Sure. Well,
like what I'm sure you're about to pick.
And obviously, you know, we're not going to make that one of our choices for this month because we covered that in our 100th episode,
Yes.
along with Dave and Pete. So if you love that movie, go back and listen to that episode. It was spectacular.
It was, and we certainly would have been doing it this month. So
Yep.
good reminder of why you won't hear it, because you might wonder what the heck these guys never shut up about that movie. How are they not doing it? I do it again.
But one of the movies we are going to talk about this month, that is Top Gun. Came out this year. I remember going to it in the theater. It was outstanding and loved it to no end.
I believe I also saw that one in the movie theater. I don't remember who I was with. Probably my mom and dad, maybe my siblings, maybe when his whole family. I don't know. But I do know that I saw that one in the theater. Okay, well, I'm going to pick. So it's number 4 on my list, but see, this is another big one that I'm sure, everybody's gonna think about right away. And that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Another one, I'm pretty sure I saw this in the movie theater too. And, we're huge John Hughes fans. We've done 16 Candles. We've done Breakfast Club. And this was another great one in that run.
Sure. Well,
my cast didn't have all those same people in it, but definitely a great movie.
Well, and this is one that I was absolutely enamored with at this time in my life. Crocodile Dundee.
The second highest grossing movie of the year. You have the top 2 highest grossing movies of the year right here.
Right. And I mean, I loved them both. I mean, I still watch Top Gun.
That's not a noise.
Haven't seen Crocodile Dundee and maybe, you know what? I did watch it not that long ago, maybe a couple of years ago. Still love it. I think it's just
I think I saw that
fun.
one in the movie theater too. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it again since then or not. I don't know.
It's
probably once. I probably watched it at least once on TV, I'm sure.
Sure.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yes, sir.
Paul Hogan?
Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan.
Yep.
Australian Takeover. All right, I'm going to pick another movie that I saw. I believe, if my memory is correct, I do remember going with my siblings to this one. I believe we were in Sioux Falls at our cousin's house, and I believe that I went with my brother, and I don't know if my sister went, but my cousin Mike probably too. We all went to Hoosiers one night,
Yeah.
and Hoosiers. I didn't pick it for this month because I don't know how great of an episode that would make, but that is like my After Three Amigos. Like that's the first movie I thought of when I think in 1986. That is one of the all-time greatest sports movies, and it was my introduction to Gene Hackman. And we're from a small town. Well, here's the deal: we're from a small town, and 1 year later, our tiny town went to the state championship. The next 2 years, actually. So it's like we connected so much with that movie, and it was just so wonderful, and it's so well done.
Yep.
Dennis
Of course,
Hopper,
we didn't have the Hollywood ending that.
No, we did not.
But again, that wasn't a Hollywood ending. That was actually what did happen in real life. So, that's. But it was a lot of fun, like you say. Small town, big city, playing the big schools for a championship. All right. I'm trying to think here. God, there's some really good ones. Well, and Pete's going to end up with some great ones. One that I need to have, I've talked about this on this show, and actually recently when it came up in best uses of music in a sports scene, that would be Color of Money, another Tom Cruise vehicle, along with Paul Newman.
Good year for Tom Cruise.
Yes. Well, name a bad year, honestly, for that guy. He's doing pretty well.
I don't know. There was that year where he went nuts on, was it Ellen show, and he was up on
Oprah.
a couch, and he was, yeah, I mean, the guy was crazy there for a while, and people thought he was a joke, but he turned it around again.
Yeah.
He started making those great new Mission Impossible movies, and
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, he went kind of screwy there for a
He's
while.
had an interesting career arc, kind of
Yes.
that up and down there. He had that dip.
The old
he
up
recovered.
and down. Yeah.
Okay, for my fourth pick, I'm going to pick a movie that I did pick that we're going to cover maybe next week, one of these weeks in this month. I can't wait to watch this again. It's been a long time since I've watched it, and I know I loved it. Another one I saw, I think my brother took me to this too, so I have a few memories of my brother taking me to movies. I'm pretty sure we went to this with probably one of his friends. Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I know it's great, and I can't wait to watch it and talk about it.
Yep. It's a good one. I'm looking forward to covering it. I'm going to take, with my fourth pick, one that's near and dear to me, near and dear to my wife as well. Almost on my list for our bomb when we dropped our movie bomb, but it didn't qualify because it's at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. And that is The Money Pit.
Oh, I knew I saw that on there, and I knew you guys love that movie.
Honey, the Care Bears were just here.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
We have weak trees. It's so stupid, but man, it and the crazy thing is I really don't care for Shelley Long all that much.
Tom Hanks, Shelley Long, she was at the peak there, and she left
Yep.
Cheers for that crap.
Yep. And I think it's a great movie, so I need to have it on my list. I might be kicked out of the house by my wife if I didn't get it on my list. So, yeah, gotta have it.
All right, you are correct. There's a lot of good ones left here. I'm going to go to my highest ranked one left, and that is stars my favorite guy, Steve Martin. It has a great cameo from Bill Murray. It's got Rick Moranis, Little Shop of Horrors. And it's such a different movie. Like, when I watched that the first time, I'm like, wow, this is like a musical. And I mean, it was so different from like what you expected from Steve Martin from what I knew. And it's great. It's a great movie.
So we've discussed doing an episode of, I think we want to title it Fill My Hole, of our holes in our pop culture knowledge.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it, which is
I'd be
absolutely
curious
crazy.
what you think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. So my last pick, kind of going back and forth between a few things here because, God, there's some that I really, really loved. It's kind of corny and kind of you had to really. And of course, it's a Star Trek movie, so you had to kind of suspend disbelief. But Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home, there were some whales involved there, some time travel, kind of crazy. But I really, really enjoyed that movie at that time.
Definitely have never seen that one.
I'm putting it on my list. I've got some other ones that I would say are better movies, but for me in 1986, like that would have been higher on my list. So we're going to have Brad pick first. We're going to alternate here. We're going to pick for Pete now.
Or just our other leftover list.
Yeah.
I got a pretty good first overall pick for this list. We talked about it the same month we did Three Amigos. Stand By Me.
Yep. Yeah, I was leaving that one for Pete as well.
That's a good start right there.
Yep, it certainly is. Okay, I think I'm going to grab... I don't know if Pete was a big fan of it, but it is an awesome movie. I'm going with Aliens.
Aliens. Okay. I'm going to pick another one that I think he would like. A movie I loved. I think after this is where they started to get really bad. I mean, I'm sure this was a bad movie, but they got really bad after this. Police Academy 3. The first three, in my memory, were pretty damn great, and I loved them all, but then they got kind of stupid.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take one. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know if he quoted this movie, but this movie always reminds me of Joe Gruce. And I can't really
Wildcats.
Yes. Wildcats.
Is that right?
Yes. Why? Okay. So why is that? Why does it remind you of...
I remember he talked about it all the time. I forgot about it, but the second you said that, I remembered Joe Gruce talking about Wildcats.
Yeah. Man, some great actors, young actors in that. But yeah.
Who's in it? I mean, Goldie Hawn, but I don't remember any of those younger boys.
Well, Woody Harrelson was in it.
That's right. I did know
that. The guy who played Bubba in Forrest Gump was in it.
Okay.
I think Wesley Snipes was in it.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. I was looking at the cast the other day, but yeah, there's a lot of talent in that movie. But yeah, gonna throw that one on Pete's list.
All right, for the last one, yeah, I'm gonna do this right now. So I'm gonna give Pete this one. I hope he listens to this episode. This is the Harrison Ford movie. It was on HBO. It was called The Mosquito Coast.
What the heck is
movie?
that? I have no idea what that is.
It's him and I think maybe Deborah Winger, somebody like that. No, I don't remember what it's about, but I did watch it. Like, I'm not just throwing it out there as a total joke. I watched it. Like, I remember it being on HBO. I think it was one of those movies that HBO played all the time. And so in honor of him always making fun of me about Witness, I'm giving him The Mosquito Coast.
I was wondering, is that just a movie about people touring Minnesota lakes in the summer, no matter what lake you're on?
Maybe in the bayou Coast or something. I mean, okay. I can picture like boats, houseboats, maybe in like, I'm not really totally sure. I don't remember.
Sure. What else?
One of those first Harrison Ford movies that I saw.
There you go. What else did you have on your list?
Oh, well, there's a movie that I did not see for years and years and didn't know it existed and didn't realize how great it was. Manhunter, the original Silence of the Lambs movie with Brian Cox as the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Yep. That's a fantastic movie, and I didn't even see that. I don't think I saw it until after Red Dragon came out in like 2001.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Then I realized, this is like the same movie. They remade it, and this actually came out before. So that was one I wrote down. That was a really cool movie. Another movie I saw in the movie theater in Pipestone was Gung Ho with Michael Keaton and Ken Watanabe from 16 Candles. Big one of that year I saw in the movie theater was Short Circuit with Ali Sheedy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a movie that I could have picked from my own list because I watched this over and over again as a kid. It was called Space Camp, and it had Leah Thompson and I can't remember who else, some other girl that was cute like her, and maybe Ethan Hawke. Somebody like that too. This young cast, and it was one of those HBO movies I watched a lot, and it was I loved it. And we were all into space at that time, and the challenge. We were all into that stuff. Actually, what I read about that movie, is that it was delayed and almost didn't even get put out because of the Challenger explosion, because they thought people would be, because the timing of it was terrible. This movie about kids going into space right after that happened. And so it was probably a big bomb because of that, but it was on TV and I watched it. Something Wild with Jeff Daniels. And
I didn't watch that till years and years and years and years later.
I don't know it very well, but here's one I saw in the theater too. See, all these movies that apparently my parents took me to. Regal Eagles with Robert Redford, and I believe Deborah Winger actually wasn't that one, so she might not have been in Mosquito Coast. Ruthless People with Danny DeVito and Bette Midler. About Last Night with Rob Lowe and Demi Moore. One Crazy Summer with John Cusack. And finally, a movie that I loved back then, but I rewatched a few years ago. It's terrible. John Candy and Eugene Levy and Meg Ryan. Sounds great, right? Armed and Dangerous. Armed and Dangerous. It is not good.
No.
It does not hold up. It is not what I remembered. So that's my list.
Excellent. No Pretty in Pink on your list.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not even sure if I've ever actually watched that whole movie. I probably did back then, but like I don't know that movie. I don't care about that movie like the other ones.
Sure. Well, my number one pick was Top Gun. So little Giffy liked flying around in planes back then. So Iron Eagle was a huge one, and I rewatched that. I don't know. It must have been 10, 12 years ago, and holy cow, is that a horrible movie. But I absolutely loved it when it came out. Highlander, I saw a few of those movies. I enjoyed those. I think I've talked on here before about one of the best kill scenes in a movie, the final boss in Cobra, the way he dispatches the bad guy at the end with a huge hook through his back, and then that sends him into a furnace to be burned alive. That was pretty awesome. Karate Kid 2 came out this year. Golden Child, I want the knife.
As far as I remember, that's the only good thing about that whole movie. That line right there.
I think I recorded it off of the television, so it was edited, and I remember watching that one quite a few times. Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood was a fun movie. No Mercy. Platoon was huge. Yep. One I wasn't watching at the time, but learned to appreciate, 9.5 Weeks. Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Big Trouble in Little China.
Probably should throw that out there, huh?
For Dave. That one's out there. And then this was one that I only watched maybe about 3 years ago for the first time. You, of course, now know my love of hockey. And Rob Lowe was in Youngblood, which is the quintessential junior hockey in Canada movie.
I remember that being at HBO a lot too.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it when I watched it, just a few years ago for the first time. So gonna mention it here. So
just to follow up on the Mosquito Coast.
Yeah.
It also starred Helen Mirren, River Phoenix, and Jason Alexander.
Jeez.
And here's the short line. An inventor spurns his city life and moves his family into the jungles of Central America to make a utopia.
That sounds like the beginning of a cult.
Sounds pretty good, huh?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yep. All right, so we are going to move into music. And of course, as always, there is a plethora of great music. Middle of the 80s here, we are into hair metal, and there's a lot of great stuff out this year. So
I mean, it's a great time because you've got my favorite band of all time, you've got indie music, college music, you've still got new wave music, you've got hair metal, you've got good rock, you've got some good legacy type artists. I mean, I have some good country on here too. One at least. It's a great time and a great mix of all kinds of different stuff.
Right. Well, I get first pick here, and I'm going to go ahead and pick my other topic for this month. I'm going to take Slippery When Wet by Bon Jovi. Came out August 18th, we got You Give Love a Bad Name, Living on a Prayer, Wanted Dead or Alive, Raise Your Hand, Never Say Goodbye. I mean, it's top to bottom.
Pretty big.
It's
Pretty
awesome.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in August. So school started in September, and there you go, The Bus Driver. Here's the tape. Put it in. Play it again. Play it again.
And yeah, like you said, you probably only heard the same 3 songs over and over, but I mean, the first 3 songs on that album, I believe, include You Give Love a Bad Name and Living on a Prayer, I think are 2 and 3 on the album.
Let It Rock is the first song. I actually looked it up the other night to try to remember some of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to pick, it's not listed number 1 on my list, but this is a tape I owned, and this was a giant one, and set these guys off, and I actually own the tapes, so I wanted to pick this one first compared to some of my other choices. And plus, it's a great choice anyway. It's the Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill.
Yeah, I think my brother had this tape. So I didn't own Slippery When Wet, but I listened to Licensed to Ill a lot. I mean, that
like
was
said,
awesome.
We all felt like we owned Slippery When Wet because you heard. It's like I never owned Hysteria either, but like you heard every song. It was just everywhere. You didn't need to own it.
Yeah, this came out November 15th. And this was a tough one not to pick for the month because
we considered it.
Like you say, you owned it, I owned it, we listened to it a lot, but I went hair metal because that was my love at the middle part of the 80s here. So
if I had gone on to love the Beastie Boys, I would have picked it. But I like the Beastie Boys. They didn't go on to become one of my favorites. But I always liked them. But
right. But you didn't like them.
Yeah, we got to go with our heart here. So.
Yep. Well, and speaking of going with your heart, the album that I did pass up, and I didn't take it because I know how much you don't like this band. Look What the Cat Dragged In. Poison debuted on August 16th. Cry Tough, Talk Dirty to Me, I Want Action, I Won't Forget You. I love this band. And again,
I
Slippery When Wet
totally
awesome.
listened to it. I would have totally done that with you.
Right, but I mean, I got a 1 and I got a 1A, so why not go with...
I feel like Slippery When Wet was bigger.
I think so too. Absolutely.
For us, even though you loved, I mean, I think it was bigger for our world.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I love Bon Jovi too, so I mean, this is, I think it's a great pick. So yeah, I'm going Look What the Cat Dragged In.
All right, well, I'm going to pick another album here because I like to pick albums, and this is one I didn't really own until I owned it on CD a few years later. But we talked about this artist like a year and a half ago. Janet Jackson came out with Control that year, and that had just so many great songs on it. And that's another one I remember, you'd hear it on the radio all the time, Control. And I'm totally drawing a blank on
Nasty.
Nasty, but there was a long title.
Oh, well, What Have You Done For Me Lately?
Yeah, What Have You Done For Me Lately? That's the one I was thinking of. Thank you.
February 4th, Miss Jackson's 3rd album. Yeah, that one's high on my list as well. Really can't go wrong with that. All right, my next pick. Oh boy, I got 3 here that are pretty equal, but I think I'm going to go with Genesis' 13th album, Invisible Touch. Came out June 6th. Invisible Touch, Tonight, Land of Confusion, In Too Deep, Throwing It All Away. I mean, that's a banger of an album.
That's one of those where I didn't love a lot of those songs, although some of those are pretty damn good. But the videos were on MTV. Holy crap, do I remember seeing those videos over. Land of Confusion was a huge one because it was such a weird, I believe it was was it claymation, I think. It was a really unique video from
the claymation, when I remember, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I always equated that with Sledgehammer.
Well, that wasn't claymation. That was just this stop motion. I mean,
that's stop motion. Yeah, you're right.
That was another huge one, and that might get drafted too.
Yep.
But yeah, no, they were both their own thing.
Yep.
Okay, well, I didn't pick it first because I didn't listen to it at the time and it wasn't as big as these other ones, but I'm picking REM Life's Rich Pageant now because, I mean, 5 years later, I went back and bought that, and that is probably my second or third favorite REM album of all. It is unbelievable. It's got I Am Superman on it, it's got Fall on Me on it, and then so many other bangers. That's one I instantly fell in love with once I got it.
Mhm.
I can't pass them up.
No, and I had I Am Superman just as a song from the year that came out November of that year. So just the song was released then. So yeah, that's a great one for you to pick for sure.
Great for you.
Yeah. All right. I think, yeah, I'm going to go with Steve Winwood's fourth album, Back in the High Life. Came out June 30th, got Higher Love, The Finer Things, and Back in the High Life Again. I just love Back in the High Life Again. I love that song so much. And those other...
Name those again. Higher Love, that's great.
Hold on, I got to find it again. Higher Love, The Finer Things. The finer things keep shining through.
No, that was awesome. And again, what a unique, I mean, how does he fit in here? How would he get big? You'd think he'd be this adult contemporary, but he was huge.
Huge. Yes.
You wouldn't think compared to Bon Jovi, how does this guy fit in? And there was room for everything back then. It was great. It was a great time.
Yep. For sure.
All right. I'm not sure if I'm going any more albums here. I'm gonna pick a song, and it's a song that as a 10-year-old, I loved this song immensely whenever it came on the radio. And so Boston came back that year with Third Stage. So I could pick that album, but the song Amanda was just, I couldn't get enough of that song. It was so pretty. I thought it was so great as a kid.
Yeah.
And it's great. I'm going to take you by the hand and make you understand.
You have to at some point. Okay.
My God, I had so many left here. This is nuts.
This is absolutely crazy. But I'm going to finish with another album. I'm going Different Light. Second Bangles album came out January 10th. Manic Monday, Walk Like an Egyptian. If She Knew What She Was. I mean... I love it. I absolutely love it.
I wanted to pick Manic Monday, but I believe that came out in 87?
No, it came out in 85.
Oh, the Manic Monday came out and the album didn't come out till 86?
Right. It came out in January 10th. So the album was released January 10th, so the song would have been released ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
The single was released ahead
Manic
of it.
Monday. That is one of my favorite songs.
Well, and that's why you got to pick the album so you can have Manic Monday. And Walk Like an Egyptian.
Yeah, right. Okay, I have one pick left, and I will pick... Oh, boy. I mean, I don't even know how to choose this one. I got so many songs that were just giant for me. This is another song I just unconditionally love. Belinda Carlisle, Mad About You.
Yes.
So I love the Go-Go's. And she had a lot of great singles, but to me, that one is on another level. That one is just the coolest song, and it gives me goosebumps every time I listen to it. I love that song still.
Yeah, and I have it on my list. Oh, I just got to find it so I can cross it off. Yeah, I can't remember where I got that at. Oh, there it is. Yep. Yeah, that is huge. Yeah, it came out May 16th. Number 3 on the Hot 100 and number 36 on the year-end Hot 100.
Yeah, big song.
Huge.
All right, well, this leftover list is going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah. So we spoke of this artist earlier this year, and he came out with an album, his fourth album, on August 20th. That is 4 by Huey Lewis and the News.
With Hip to Be Square.
Yep. Stuck with You.
Stuck with You.
Doing It All for My Baby.
Yep. That was on my list here. That's a great one. And You Have to Be Square, I look back, I always thought, I mean, I liked it then, but as I grew up, I think I look back and thought that was probably a pretty stupid song, but it's not.
It's so good.
It's awesome.
It's so good.
It's a rocker.
Yes.
So I'm glad I, changed my mind and realized that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I will give Pete. I'm going to jump into another genre so we cover a little more ground. And I know he likes Dwight Yoakam, so I'm going to pick Dwight Yoakam, Guitars and Cadillacs.
Yes.
I could have picked that. I didn't really listen to Dwight Yoakam until the 90s. So
that was his debut album. Came out March 12th. Had Honky Tonk Man, Guitars and Cadillacs, and It Won't Hurt on it. Yes, I had that on my list as well. All right, the last album that I have highlighted here. I haven't even got into songs. This is like we're opposite here. Usually I'm the guy trying to cobble together a couple songs. Well, there's a lot on here, and I don't know if Pete will agree with this pick because this was the band's first album with a new lead singer. This was 1550 from Van Halen, came out March 24th.
5150.
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
15.
Oh, 50. Yeah, 5150. I got it on here. Why Can't This Be Love? Dreams. Love Walks In. Best of Both Worlds.
And Hagar.
Yeah. I mean, there's some bangers on there.
Yeah, I mean, for replacing David Lee Roth, whether you like the Sammy Hagar years or not, I mean,
right.
They definitely came out strong and were huge and didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm going to pick. This one's a song I loved, and I'm going to throw it in here because I loved it. I bet he did too. Stacey Q, Two of Hearts.
Two of Hearts.
Yep. That's another one of those 10-year-old songs. And man, did you want to see Stacey Q video because you thought she was going to be hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I need you, I need you.
Oh, man. Well, God, I'm going to go with a song here. There's so many great ones. I think Pete was a fun-loving guy his whole life. So I'm going with Everybody Have Fun Tonight. Everybody Wang Chung Tonight.
Was it the song?
Yeah. Yeah, came out September of 86, hit number 2 on the Hot 100.
Is that the whole title? I guess I didn't even...
No, Everybody Have Fun Tonight. That's the name of the song.
Okay, Everybody Have Fun Tonight.
Yep.
And of course, the first thing I think of is the awesome scene in Cheers where Frasier comes into the bar and tells them, in the words of this song I heard on the radio, everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. I don't remember if it was like a bachelor party for him or what, but it was so awesome. Great Frasier delivery.
Oh,
yeah. You want to do the rest of yours first here?
Oh my God, there's an
album left that I actually can't believe you didn't pick either time.
Well, and I've got a few albums in here too, but I'm just going to run down my list. I got the song Guitar Town by Steve Earle that came out on June 2nd. Album So by Peter Gabriel, his fifth album that had Sledgehammer, In Your Eyes, and Big Time on it. The soundtrack to Maximum Overdrive, Who Made Who for AC/DC. Of course, that included You Shook Me All Night Long, but that came out in 1980. Raising Hell, Run DMC, Walk This Way, It's Tricky, You Be Illin'. That was a great album.
That too. I totally missed that one. I probably should have picked that.
Yeah, it came out May 15th.
That's one of the first tapes I think that I ever actually owned.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky, man. I love that song so much.
Yeah.
And Walk This Way, in my opinion, kind of reinvigorated Aerosmith's
That's what
career.
brought Aerosmith back to the mainstream. They were it was like they started their career all over again. For us, it was like, oh, wait a minute. Aerosmith had a career before this? We had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, and probably the biggest album that's on my list still, True Blue by Madonna. Third album came out June 30th. Papa Don't Preach, True Blue, Open Up Your Heart. Huge, huge album.
I had that one too. I think my sister and I actually bought that together, and we shared that cassette tape.
Oh, that's the sweetest thing ever. That's
so there's a memory of my sister.
Mm-hmm. We got the Final Countdown by Europe. Came out May 19th, hit number 8 on the Hot 100. Tough Enough by the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Number 10 on the Top 100. One of the best one-hit wonders songs. Kiss by Prince on February 5th. Number 1 on the Hot 100 for 2 weeks. Certified gold. Venus by Bananarama. Number 1 on the Hot 100.
I don't have that one down. That's a good one.
Yeah. That was May 19th. Dancing with the Ceiling, Lionel Richie's third album, came out in August. Paul Simon's Graceland came out this year as well.
I had that highly rated. That's one of the CDs I bought when I got a CD player and got into Paul Simon. That was the legacy artist I was referring to.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Push It, Salt and Pepper.
That's that old. I missed that one too.
The song came out. It was on. What's the album here? Hot, Cool, and Vicious. Let me see. Well, and we'll get into this a little bit with Top Gun, but I've got a ton of songs off of there. You got Take My Breath Away. That was number
the Top
1.
Gun soundtrack. That's the one I was waiting for an album that hadn't. I'm surprised it didn't get picked.
Well, yeah, and I probably should have picked it. I mean, it was 9 times platinum, won an Oscar and a Golden Globe for Best Original Song with Take My Breath Away. Addicted to Love came out by Robert Palmer in January. All I Need Is a Miracle by Mike and the Mechanics.
I love that song.
Yeah, right?
All I Need Is a Miracle.
That hit number 5 on the Hot 100. Of course, Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. That hit number 2. Playing with the Boys came out in August. And then also Glory of Love by Peter Cetera hit number 1, was year-end number 14.
Ready Kid 2. Are you done yet?
That's it. That's what I got.
Well, I actually got a few more here. You missed a giant song. So speaking of Pretty in Pink, OMD, If You Leave.
My God.
I almost picked that one for Pete.
How did I not?
So Journey had one of their last great albums, Raised on Radio. It had Be Good to Yourself, and I think at least 1 or 2 other good hits. Let's see. Glass Tiger. I love Glass Tiger. The song Don't Forget About Me When I'm Gone. That's another tape my sister got, I believe. I mean, talk about a great one-hit wonder. That's like an 80s song everybody would remember and know. They're not really a one-hit wonder, but they've been around for a long, long time. But Crowded House, Don't Dream It's Over. I mean, that's the quintessential Crowded House song.
Yeah.
You got Steve Winwood on your list. I Raise You, Bruce Hornsby.
I get the 2 confused all the time.
I mean, it's like both these guys were giant. Eddie Money, I Can't Hold Back.
Yes.
And then everything else you've mentioned except Metallica, Master of Puppets.
Yeah, I didn't really listen to it all that much, and I looked at the songs on it, and I didn't include it in mine. So.
Master of Puppets is on there. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
But like Peter Gabriel, and Prince Parade, those are some giant ones that you mentioned that I had listed here too.
Yeah. So a lot of good stuff. I mean, the music was outstanding. That for me always takes the longest to put together because there's so much stuff that is awesome and you just love it all. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be getting into for the month then.
So we mentioned a lot of them.
Yep.
You're picking Top Gun.
Yep.
And Slippery When Wet.
Yes, sir.
Because we're each doing 2 this month because there's 5 Mondays, so we're each picking 2 things.
Gonna have a case of the Mondays.
I'm picking Back to School, and then the reason why we didn't do a TV draft tonight is we're going to do a TV themed episode, and it's going to revolve around one of my favorite things that came out in the 80s. Any Garfield thing was important to me, and the best special of them all, Garfield in Paradise, came out in 1986. So we're going to talk about that episode. We're going to have a guest on, and we're going to talk about other TV stuff along with that. So there'll be a lot of good stuff. If you don't want to listen to Garfield, there's going to be a lot of other good stuff in there as well.
Yep.
But if you don't listen to Garfield,
who doesn't want to listen to Garfield or about Garfield?
Exactly.
Yeah, if you don't want to listen to Garfield, I don't know if I want to know you.
Hey, Gifford.
Hey, what?
Do you know what band was heavily inspired by Master of Puppets?
That's true story. I believe that is Preacher Row.
That's right.
Yeah.
Big Metallica fans.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, thanks for listening, folks. This is going to be a huge month. We got 5 more Mondays to cover for 1986, so be sure to tune in each Monday on your favorite streaming service, and
you can
we'll fill your ears
too. You can leave us a review, please, on Apple or Spotify. Those always help. But also, we mentioned a lot of crap here tonight. You can go on to any social media website and you can share back your favorites. You can vote in our polls. Even if you don't want to vote, share what you like. Share what you remember, because we love to see what's important to you as well as what was important to us.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
I'm scared, but there's nothing I can do.